Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning, check your investment account, and discover something incredible. Your portfolio grew more overnight than you contributed from your entire paycheck last month. Your money is officially working harder than you are. This isn't fantasy. It's a mathematical certainty that happens to every successful investor. But here's what most people don't realize. There's an exact moment when this shift occurs. And once you understand it, everything about investing becomes clearer. Welcome to another Wallet Wisdom video, where we break down real finance topics that actually help you build wealth. If you're serious about improving your money habits and growing your future, hit like, subscribe, and join our community of smart investors. Today, we're diving deep into the crossover point, the precise financial milestone where compound growth officially takes control of your wealth building journey. If you've ever wondered when your money will start pulling its own weight, this video will give you the roadmap. Make sure to subscribe because we're about to break down one of the most important concepts in personal finance that nobody talks about. Let's start with a simple truth about wealth building. Every investment journey is powered by two completely different engines, and understanding how they work together determines whether you'll build real wealth or stay stuck saving forever. The first engine is your contributions. This is the money you actively add from your paycheck every month. Early in your investing journey, this engine does all the heavy lifting. Your portfolio barely grows without it. Every dollar of progress comes from the money you manually deposit. It's loud, obvious, and completely under your control. The second engine is compound growth. This is where your existing money starts generating returns on its own. But here's the thing. In the beginning, compound growth feels almost worthless. Your first year might generate a few $100s while you're contributing thousands. It seems insignificant, even disappointing. But these two engines never operate with equal power. As time passes, one gradually weakens while the other accelerates. Your contributions eventually hit natural limits based on your income and expenses. But compound growth, it has no ceiling. The larger your portfolio becomes, the more powerful this engine gets. Eventually, something remarkable happens. The math flips completely. Your compound growth starts generating more money than you can possibly contribute. That's when you know you've reached a crossover point, and it changes everything about how you think about money. So when exactly does this happen? Let's make it concrete with real numbers. Imagine you have $50,000 invested and you contribute $20,000 annually. Your contributions are still the star of the show. Even with decent market returns, your yearly growth probably ranges from $3,000 to $5,000. Your paycheck contributions are doing most of the work. But watch what happens as your portfolio grows. Once you reach around $300,000, something interesting occurs. Your yearly contribution and your yearly growth start looking similar. Assuming a 7% average return, that portfolio generates about $21,000 annually. You've reached equilibrium, a 50-50 partnership between your paycheck and compound growth. Then comes the magic moment. Around $500,000, compound growth begins to dominate. A 7% return on that amount produces $35,000 per year, far more than most people can contribute. At this point, your contributions still matter, but they no longer drive your portfolio's growth. The math has officially flipped. This crossover point represents one of the biggest psychological shifts in wealth building. For the first time, you see what everyone talks about, but few experience: your money growing faster than you can save it. Now, here's what surprises most people about reaching this milestone. The timeline isn't as long as you might think, but it's not as short as you might hope either. Let's trace 3 different stopping points to understand the journey. First, imagine you stopped contributing after reaching $100,000. It would take several decades for compound growth alone to reach 1 million. Your savings are still carrying most of the weight at this stage. Second, stopping at $300,000 changes the equation significantly. This milestone usually takes around a decade to reach with consistent contributions. From here, compound growth needs another substantial stretch to hit 1 million, but the growth starts feeling genuinely powerful. Your portfolio no longer relies solely on your paycheck. Third, stopping at $500,000 reveals the true power of the crossover point. If you never contributed another dollar, compound growth could still carry you to 1 million in roughly a decade. And if you keep contributing, the timeline barely changes. This is where your portfolio develops enough mass for compound growth to truly accelerate. But here's a crucial factor most people overlook. Your crossover point isn't just determined by how much you save. It's also shaped by what your portfolio earns each year. When market returns are stronger, compound growth takes over sooner. An 8% average growth rate means your portfolio can start outpacing your contributions at a smaller dollar amount. But if your portfolio grows more conservatively at 5% per year, your contributions remain the primary driver for longer. This is why two people saving identical amounts can hit their crossover point years apart. They're operating with different growth engines. Higher returns pull the crossover closer. Lower returns push it further away. But regardless of your exact return rate, the shift still happens. Compound growth always becomes the dominant force eventually. To illustrate this concept in the real world, let's examine something called coast fire. This strategy revolves entirely around reaching a tipping point where future contributions become optional. Here's how it works. You save aggressively in your 20s and 30s, building a substantial foundation. Once your portfolio reaches a specific threshold, you can stop contributing entirely and still reach your retirement goals on schedule through compound growth alone. For example, someone targeting $2 million by age 65 might only need around $187,000 invested by age 30. From that point forward, steady growth could carry them to their goal without another penny contributed. That's the crossover point in its purest form. Your money doesn't just help you, it replaces your effort entirely. Understanding this concept helps explain why the journey to financial independence follows predictable milestones. Each milestone proves that compound growth is gaining strength and your contributions are becoming less critical. The first $10,000 feels small, but establishes crucial momentum. This is where consistent saving becomes a habit and the numbers start looking real. The first 100,000 represents a famous milestone for good reason. Compound growth becomes genuinely noticeable here. A strong market year can add as much value as you contributed yourself. Your first year when growth exceeds contributions marks an emotional turning point. You check your statement and realize your portfolio added more money than you did. That's your first real taste of the crossover effect. When your portfolio generates more income than your job produces, this milestone feels almost surreal. Your investments are earning more annually than your paycheck. It's clear evidence that compound growth has taken complete control. When your portfolio covers all essential expenses, you've reached your first taste of genuine financial security. Even if employment disappeared, your basic needs would be covered by investment returns. Finally, when your portfolio can fund your desired lifestyle entirely, work becomes truly optional. You continue working because you want to, not because you need to. Your money has become the primary earner in your household. These milestones show exactly where you stand and how close you are to the moment when contributions stop being the main driver of your financial future. But here's the beautiful truth about reaching the crossover point. Once you hit it, the entire investing journey becomes easier, calmer, and far more motivating. You've built enough momentum that time itself becomes your greatest ally. Your job becomes remarkably simple. Save consistently during the early accumulation years. Stay invested through market volatility. Let compound growth do what it does best over extended periods. Every successful investor eventually reaches this mathematical tipping point where their money starts working harder than they do. It's not about picking perfect stocks or timing markets. It's about understanding that patience and persistence create unstoppable momentum. The crossover point proves that building wealth isn't about heroic effort forever. It's about consistent effort until compound growth takes over completely. Once that happens, your money becomes the engine driving your financial future. If this breakdown helped clarify your own path to the crossover point, make sure to subscribe for more content that makes wealth building feel achievable rather than overwhelming. Your future self will thank you for understanding these concepts today.